A quiet shift is taking shape inside Canada's aerospace sector, and it carries consequences far beyond factory walls in Toronto and Montreal. While headlines focus on fighter jets and political speeches, another aircraft is moving through production lines with far less noise and far more strategic weight. At a Bombardier facility in Toronto, thousands of skilled workers are assembling a surveillance platform that NATO countries are seriously considering as the backbone of their future air defense networks. This aircraft is called GlobalEye, and its existence changes who controls the skies and who controls the decisions behind them. Inside Toronto's aerospace corridor, roughly 2,000 workers are tied directly to defense production, including the assembly and integration of GlobalEye. That number represents engineers, avionics technicians, machinists, software specialists, systems integrators, and quality control experts whose daily work feeds into NATO's future surveillance capability. The aircraft they are building is not a prototype or a paper concept seeking investors. It is a fully operational airborne early warning and control system already flying with customers and demonstrating real-world capability. GlobalEye is designed to replace aging surveillance aircraft such as the E-3 Sentry, known for decades as NATO's flying radar command post. For more than 70 years, the United States dominated this segment of military aviation. The Boeing E-3, based on the 707 airliner, and the carrier-based E-2 Hawkeye formed the backbone of Western airborne surveillance. If a NATO country wanted that capability, the purchase flowed through Washington. There were no comparable European alternatives that matched range, integration, and proven operational history. Surveillance aircraft remained one of the last uncontested monopolies in Western defense. GlobalEye changes that equation in a way that cannot be ignored. The platform is built on the Bombardier Global Express business jet, a long-range aircraft that has been flying executives and government leaders for decades. The airframe is Canadian. The mission systems are supplied by Saab of Sweden. The radar technology comes from European suppliers. Swiss and other European components are integrated throughout. The aircraft does not rely on American parts, and that detail carries enormous weight in today's political climate. The radar at the heart of GlobalEye offers a detection range of roughly 350 nautical miles, allowing it to monitor vast stretches of airspace while simultaneously tracking air, surface, and ground targets. It operates effectively over land and sea, giving it flexibility across NATO's diverse geography. The system can track hundreds of objects at once, feed targeting data to fighter aircraft, coordinate air defense networks, and manage complex air operations. In practical terms, this aircraft multiplies the effectiveness of every fighter in the air. Pilots can only engage what they detect. A platform like GlobalEye extends that detection horizon far beyond what onboard fighter radars can provide. The credibility of the system rests on operational use, not marketing slides. Sweden has taken delivery of 6 GlobalEye aircraft between 2018 and 2022. The United Arab Emirates signed contracts in 2015 and began receiving aircraft in 2017, and those jets are now fully operational in the Middle East. The platform has proven its reliability, and the mission systems have demonstrated effectiveness. NATO countries evaluating it are looking at an aircraft that has already performed in real-world conditions. Toronto's role in this program builds on an industrial base that has existed for years. Bombardier has long produced the Global Express business jet in the city, supported by established production lines, certification processes, supplier networks, and experienced personnel. The transition to the surveillance variant does not require constructing an entirely new industrial ecosystem. Instead, Saab's mission systems are integrated onto a proven Canadian airframe. Radar systems are installed, electronics are configured, software is tested, and the finished aircraft rolls out as a complete airborne surveillance platform. The 2,000 defense-related jobs in Toronto represent more than direct employment. Aerospace has a powerful multiplier effect. For every direct position, 2 or 3 additional roles often emerge across suppliers, logistics providers, machine shops, and engineering consultancies. When those ripple effects are calculated, GlobalEye production supports between 6,000 and 8,000 jobs across Ontario's broader economy. That means a family supported, tax revenue generated, and advanced manufacturing skills retained inside Canada rather than exported. At the political level, the implications stretch even further. Canada is now producing fighter aircraft in Montreal through Saab's Gripen partnership, while simultaneously building surveillance aircraft in Toronto. Together, those two programs form a nearly complete air power package, a NATO country seeking both fighters and airborne early warning capability can acquire both without depending on American export approvals or American components. Poland, Germany, and Spain are all examining modernization plans that include fighter fleets and surveillance support. If those countries choose Canadian-built Gripens paired with GlobalEye, the integration is seamless because Saab designs the system's architecture across both platforms. NATO currently operates around 30 E-3 aircraft, all based on a design that dates back half a century. Maintenance costs are rising as airframes age and parts become more difficult to source. Upgrading these aircraft is expensive, and in many cases, the cost of modernization approaches or exceeds the price of acquiring new platforms. Analysts estimate that if 10 NATO countries were to purchase between 3 and 5 GlobalEye aircraft each, total demand could reach 30 to 50 aircraft. At an estimated price of around $250 million per aircraft, that translates into contracts worth $7.5 to $12.5 billion. If Canada captures roughly 40% of that value through production and integration work in Toronto, it represents billions in domestic economic activity that would otherwise flow elsewhere. Washington's public response has been restrained, largely because strong counter-arguments are difficult to make. It is not easy to dismiss GlobalEye as inferior when it is based on a proven business jet platform and equipped with operational radar systems. It is not persuasive to argue that American upgrades are cheaper when life cycle costs of older aircraft continue to climb. Export leverage is limited when the aircraft contains no American components subject to U.S. restrictions. Boeing's proposed E-7 Wedgetail, built on the 737 airliner, offers a capable alternative and is already in service with countries such as Australia, South Korea, and Turkey. Yet it remains subject to U.S. export controls and international traffic and arms regulations. Nations purchasing the E-7 accept that political tensions could affect support or upgrades. Nations purchasing GlobalEye avoid that risk. In an era when political relationships can shift rapidly, procurement officials weigh those considerations carefully. Timing adds further urgency. NATO members recognize that their E-3 fleets cannot operate indefinitely. Replacement decisions must be made within the next 5 to 10 years. Delaying purchases risks capability gaps that adversaries could exploit. The choice narrows to acquiring the American E-7 or moving toward the European-built GlobalEye. Recent political friction between Washington and certain allies has intensified interest in independent options. Sovereignty in defense procurement is no longer an abstract principle, but a practical calculation. From a capability standpoint, GlobalEye presents advantages for many missions. It is smaller than the E-3, consumes less fuel, and can operate from more austere airfields. Operating costs are lower and crew requirements are reduced, decreasing long-term personnel expenses. Its mission systems are modern from inception rather than retrofitted onto a legacy airframe. Over decades of service, those differences translate into billions of dollars in savings. The integration between GlobalEye and the Gripen fighter enhances its appeal. Saab designs both platforms with compatible data links and shared architecture. For Ukraine, which has demonstrated the effectiveness of Western fighters in combat, a surveillance platform like GlobalEye would dramatically extend engagement range and situational awareness. Fighters relying solely on onboard sensors face limitations in contested airspace. With a 350 nautical mile detection radius feeding data into the network, aircraft can engage threats before adversaries detect them. As financial and logistical conditions permit, future Ukrainian procurement could include such capabilities. Beyond immediate contracts, Bombardier gains valuable expertise in integrating military systems onto commercial airframes. That knowledge opens doors to future programs involving tankers, maritime patrol aircraft, or specialized transport variants. The ability to adapt proven business jets for defense roles strengthens Canada's aerospace industry and reduces reliance on foreign suppliers. Strategically, diversified production across Toronto and Montreal provides resilience. Pressure applied to one program does not halt the other. Provincial governments in Quebec and Ontario both benefit from high-skilled aerospace employment, creating domestic political incentives to protect and expand these programs. Federal policymakers see economic and strategic value in sustaining an industry that supports both commercial and defense markets. The partnership with Saab deepens this industrial ecosystem. Montreal produces Gripen fighters. Toronto integrates GlobalEye. Shared technology, shared systems, and shared long-term planning bind the relationship beyond a simple buyer-seller transaction. Canada becomes Saab's North American partner for a comprehensive defense portfolio, embedding advanced manufacturing capability within its own borders. Market conditions appear aligned for GlobalEye expansion. The industrial base exists. Operational proof has been demonstrated. NATO's replacement cycle is approaching. Interest from multiple member states is public and measurable. In Toronto, 2,000 workers contribute directly to that momentum, and thousands more benefit indirectly. Each completed aircraft represents not only a defense asset, but also a statement about industrial independence. Combined with fighter production in Montreal, surveillance production in Toronto positions Canada as a central node in NATO's evolving defense network. The transformation has not occurred through dramatic speeches or confrontational rhetoric. It has unfolded through manufacturing contracts, supply chain coordination, and technical integration. As more aircraft leave the production line and enter Allied service, reliance on a single supplier for airborne surveillance diminishes. In practical terms, NATO is receiving advanced surveillance capability from Toronto regardless of whether Washington endorses every transaction. Orders are evaluated on performance, cost, and sovereignty considerations. The workers assembling these aircraft are shaping an outcome that extends well beyond provincial boundaries. Each radar installed and each airframe completed reduces the leverage that once accompanied monopoly control. The shift will continue aircraft by aircraft, contract by contract, year by year. And as more nations discover that alternatives exist, the balance of influence within the alliance evolves. Monopolies, maintained through coercion rather than value, tend to unravel quickly when the coercion backfires. Moreover, in other news, Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has confirmed that Ottawa is moving forward with new payments tied to 14 additional F-35A Lightning II fighters, a decision that keeps Canada firmly in the production line while the larger debate over the country's future air fleet continues to unfold. These payments are connected to long lead components, the parts that must be ordered years before final assembly begins, and their purpose is clear: maintain Canada's place in the queue and protect delivery timelines even as officials reassess whether the full 88 aircraft commitment will ultimately stand. The payments, first reported by Radio Canada, effectively raise the number of jets in the pipeline to 30 when combined with the initial 16 F-35s already under contract. That figure does not lock Canada into accepting all 88 aircraft, but it does signal that Ottawa is unwilling to lose leverage or disrupt its access to future deliveries, while strategic reviews continue behind closed doors. Inside Parliament, the issue quickly turned political when Yves-François Blanchet pressed Carney over what he described as mixed messaging, especially after earlier comments about strengthening Canada's strategic autonomy from the United States. Carney acknowledged that the payments were being made, yet framed them carefully as a limited financial step designed to preserve flexibility. According to his statement, the government is spending a small amount to keep its options open, both for national defense planning and for negotiations with Washington, a formulation that leaves room for multiple paths forward without closing any doors prematurely. Long lead funding is a familiar mechanism in large defense programs, particularly one as complex as the F-35, which involves a vast multinational supply chain. Ordering components early ensures that production slots remain available and that delays do not cascade through the system. By authorizing these payments, Canada is protecting timing and influence while it continues weighing alternatives. That internal review has included serious discussion of a potential mixed fleet, with Saab's Gripen E frequently cited as a contender alongside the F-35. The idea of splitting the order has attracted both support and criticism. James Bizan has publicly argued for a structure that would combine 44 F-35s with 60 to 80 Gripens, while others caution that diverging from the original 88 jet plan could complicate interoperability. Pressure from Washington has also entered the conversation. Pete Hoekstra warned that NORAD arrangements would need adjustment if Canada significantly reduced its F-35 purchase, arguing that common platforms strengthen continental air defense integration. Against that backdrop, Carney's confirmation appears calibrated, preserving access to additional aircraft without committing the country to a final number. Now, the larger question moves beyond fighters alone. Canada is already building advanced surveillance aircraft in Toronto through Bombardier's GlobalEye program, a platform that offers NATO countries an alternative to traditional American airborne early warning systems. If Ottawa balances F-35 acquisitions with Gripen partnerships and pairs them with GlobalEye capability, Canada positions itself not only as a buyer, but as a builder within the alliance's defense structure. So where does this lead? Will Canada ultimately stick with all 88 F-35s, adopt a split fleet, or lean more heavily into partnerships like Gripen and GlobalEye that reduce dependence on Washington? Could GlobalEye's 350 nautical mile radar reach reshape how NATO members think about surveillance and coordination? And if Canada becomes both a fighter customer and a surveillance producer, does that strengthen its leverage inside the alliance? Share thoughts in the comments, especially on how the F-35 debate connects to the rise of GlobalEye and Canada's growing role in NATO aerospace production. Subscribe for deep dives into the defense shifts that rarely make front-page headlines, but quietly redefine power inside the alliance, because the story unfolding in Ottawa and Toronto is far from over, and the next decision could ripple across NATO for decades. See you in the next one.